People that are just walking in, feel free to grab a seat. We are going to go ahead and get her started. So welcome and thank you guys so much for joining us for a special Meet the Candidate night. For those of you who don't know me, I am Tara Bell. I am the Executive Director of the Canal Winchester Chamber. And it's just an honor to be able to see so many faces and meet with you guys here tonight. So I would like to take a second to thank our sponsors for supporting this evening and just being here for us and supporting the community. So first and foremost, the Canal Wigwam is our presenting sponsor. So thank you, Terry, for generously sponsoring tonight's event. We also have our drink sponsor, which is Code 6 Bravo Coffee Truck. Chris is hanging out around here somewhere. Thank you, Chris, for being our beverage sponsor for tonight. And we also have Denise Mathias. She is with Edward Jones, and she will be our moderator for tonight. So thank you, Denise. And of course, this night would not be possible without the help of my events manager at the Chamber. She's Alexis, and she's who you saw when you all came in tonight. So couldn't do it without her as well. And then, of course, our partners, Cryo Communications and Interphase Video Production. So thank you to them as well for helping us live broadcast here tonight. So just as a reminder, if there's anybody who is not able to attend tonight, it is live broadcast on our Facebook page, and we also have like a broadcast link as well. So it is my privilege to introduce tonight's moderator, Denise Mathias. She's the chairperson of the Canal Winchester Chamber Board and a financial advisor for Edward Jones. So Denise, come on up.
Thank you, Tara. It's an honor to be here tonight. Just a reminder, we asked the community through our Facebook page to submit questions for the candidates. We grouped them together by topic, and the most popular ones were the ones that we're asking tonight. The candidates will all be available shortly after the debate here in the room that you can ask any individual questions that you'd like. Everybody's going to have about 2 minutes or so to answer a question, and we are being very diligent on that this evening. We want to keep the mood going. And it is just to meet the candidate night. We're not debating or doing rebuttals or anything like that. And we're going to start with the city council candidates. We'll do a brief break, and then we'll do the folks running for mayor. So let's get started. We're going to start with the first question, of which I am going to let you introduce yourself briefly and then answer the question within your 2-minute time period. So the first question is to please introduce yourself and share your contributions to the community over the last 4 years. The order that will be answering these questions, the first 3 are Alec McLaughlin, Richard Moore, and Will Bennett.
Hello? All right, so my name is Alec McLaughlin. So I have lived in the community for 29 years. I'm 29 years old, so my entire life. I'm a father and a husband. I have a 4-year-old boy. I work for Westlake Financial, which is a lender, or an auto lender. And then also I went to Canal Winchester High School, obviously, and I graduated from the Ohio State University. So my contributions to the community over the last 4 years include I volunteered with Destination Canal Winchester at the Blues and Rib Festival. I also am a member of the Lithopolis United Methodist Church just outside of town, and I've worked with the Blessing Box ministry there. And if you're not familiar with the Blessing Boxes, they're similar to the little libraries, but they're full of food. They're mini food pantries. So I've assisted with that. I've also, on my own, I built a community library and put it in my front yard at my first home for a little over a year until we decided to move within Canal Winchester. And then I donated that community library to Evie Bear Hugs, which is the local community, or charity in our community. And then also I have attended a multitude of events within the community and sporting events. And just tried to frequent every single restaurant that I can, so avoid cooking. So anyways, all right.
Oops. Okay. I am up. Sorry. Are we on here? Having issues are technical difficulties. There we go. Looks better now. So I guess before I start, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. We all took time out of our nights to be here. You guys are here for the betterment of Canal Winchester to see what we're about and to make an informed decision. So I thank you for being here and thank you for that. It is a little nerve-wracking because you're all staring at me and judging me right now, but other than that, it's great. My name is Rick Moore. I've lived here for 11, 12 years. I have a daughter who's in the 8th grade, who is now at swim practice, so she's not enjoying this, thank goodness. My wife Katie is here in attendance, so I thank Reagan for being here in spirit and Katie for being here physically. In the recent years, I've actively engaged with various community organizations. Since 2019, I've been a board member of the Canal Winchester Joint Rec Department. Before I became a board member, I volunteered as a coach for my daughter's teams while she was in recreational sports. I've also contributed to organizations like Brock Strong, Canal Winchester Human Services, the Historical Society, Evelyn Hazel Miller Foundation, Way to Battle, as either a volunteer, through fundraising, or through donations. And community service is my passion, so I will continue to do that. Thank you.
We'll just use this one until it dies. All right, so the person with the little tablet is going to be awful for me, but I'm going to ignore her. So my name's Will Bennett. Over the last 4 years, I served two years on city council, and then the last 2 years participating in events as a resident. But over the last 2 years that I was on council, I worked with high school students to develop a drop-off recycling program. Every other Saturday in the month, you would come, drop off your recycling, we would sort it, and I supported that with, flyers and additional support materials. We also then sort of demonstrated the need for recycling within the community through that program. That helped us sort of, facilitate community-wide curbside recycling. I then was recognized by my fellow council members as someone who was selected to serve on the RFP proposal for our next waste contract. I served as the chair for the Joint Rec District for several years, then working to bring in recreational professionals to sort of help our organization build stronger within the community. Worked with city officials to obtain future sustainability for the organization. Worked with council to obtain the funding to bring in a professional with recreation background to really help move our programming forward. See, I got 16 seconds already. I've served on the planning committee. I'm a historical board member trustee. I'm a guide on the Ghost Tour. I organize adult tennis program for the Joint Rec. I'm often out picking up trash on the side of the highway, Super Bowl, and Rib Fest soda booth volunteer.
Thank you, Will. Now we will hear from Steve, Steve Buskirk, Tina Welch, and Chuck Milligan.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. My name is Steve Buskirk. I currently serve on City Council. I have served on there for the last year and a half. Prior to being on City Council, I also served on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I have worked for the Franklin County Engineers Office for the last 30 years. And I've lived in Canal Winchester for the last 18 years. I have 2 children who have graduated from the Canal Winchester High School, and currently have 2 grandchildren that will be in the school system as well, and hopefully they will graduate from there as well. I also serve at C3 Church. I serve there as the mission steward, so I love to do mission trips all over the world, and I've done that for the last several years. And also I'm helping out with their youth program there as well. I absolutely love our community. I love serving with Brock Strong Foundation and the Way to Battle. Anything that helps people, I really love to do. So that's all I have. I talked fast, so.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chuck Milliken. I'm a 2005 graduate of Capital University with a major in communications. That's where I met my lovely wife, Danielle Milliken, who's in attendance this evening. We have two boys, Charlie and Rory. I'm also an attendee of C3 Church. I've served the last 4 years as city council, the past 2 years as your council president. I served 2 years as the council representative to Human Services, and then the last 2 years as council representative to Destination Canal Winchester. I volunteered for Blues and Ribs Fest, Labor Day, and the Historical Society Ice Cream Social. I voted to bring in our designated outdoor refreshment area. I voted to get us a nice, beautiful new city building, City Hall. That's the former McDormand building. But I think the biggest thing that I'm most proud of, my contribution to the community, is that 4 years ago when I was elected, there was a lot of dishonesty and disharmony amongst council. I'm most proud that over the last 2 years as council president that we work much better together now as a council, and we get along, and we're working better for you, and that's what I'm most proud of.
Good evening. My name is Tina Welch. I have 2 children. I currently attend the Common Ground Destiny Center under the leadership of Pastor Rick Reynolds and First Lady Michelle Reynolds. I have worked seemingly endless hours building relationships with the local community, the families, the business owners, and leadership within our region to help local candidates get elected at city, county, and even state levels. So I'm very proud of all the time. It's easy to be frustrated with things on a state and a national level, but I decided to spend my time working at the local level where I can have an impact.
Well, since we're all doing it, I have a husband on a golf trip in South Carolina and a daughter living her best life in North Carolina. I have some notes. If you guys can speak a little louder and a little closer to the mic, that would be great. Our next question, again, is a 2-minute response time. We received quite a few questions about how candidates will interact with members of the community. Some were specific to age groups, some were specific to certain groups that go on. So we've sort of mushed those together a little bit, if you will. So the first one is, how will you personally seek out resident input on city matters, and how much of an impact of that will have on your decision-making process? We'd like to hear from Steve Buskirk, Chuck Milliken, and Richard Moore first.
So this is a great question. Communications is very important, and this is something that we have talked about as a council of how to gain input from our residents. Several residents have come to our meetings and expressed, hey, we would like to find a way to communicate with you. One of the ways they can communicate with us is every city council member has an email address. If you visit the website, we have an email address there, or there's one that you can click on that sends an email to all of us. That is a great way to communicate to us. It's there, it's already set up. We would love to have feedback from each and every one of you. Unfortunately, we get very little feedback from the residents of at least through email. So I would like to see that increase. Maybe that's something that we can put out and promote a little bit better on our end to the community. There's also a great tool, not necessarily for each city council member, but there's an app that the city has. You can download it on your phone, and that's a great way to communicate as well. It lets the city know here's some things that need to be addressed, and they can then bring that to the city council for discussion and approval of any items. The other question was age groups, and I would love to see a program for our youth. Not sure what it would be called or how it would work, but maybe a program to let them see the inner workings of our local government through the high school and the system. Give them a little bit more involvement. Maybe they could shadow us as council members and attend some of our meetings on a regular basis so they can kind of see how their local government works and how it can impact them in different ways.
Ms. Mathias, point of clarification here. Are we going through all three parts of this question, or are we just doing the first part?
Just the part I asked.
Okay, just wanted to be sure. All right, so being on council the last 4 years, I'm a more recognizable face than I probably want to be. There we go. Being out in the community and Alec over here, going to all the restaurants and things, people come up to me. I don't really have to seek out information. People come up to me and they're willing to give it to me, and I'm willing to listen, and I'm willing to engage in those conversations. If things don't come up, I bring it up. I never waste an opportunity to talk about what's going on in the community and seek that input. The Bible tells us in the book of Proverbs that only a fool is wise in his own eyes, but a wise man seeks counsel. I don't claim to sit here and be the omnipotent one. There's only one omnipotent being in this universe. So I think that seeking many counsel is a wise thing to do.
Okay. So, Steve, thank you. There gave some really good information there as far as how residents can contact city council members. I do think that's a great avenue. I would like to go a step further. If I'm elected to council, I would plan to organize open houses. Similar to the community coffee that's been done in the past, except these events would be done at various times to allow residents to gather, give input, and then also enhance transparency. Right now, the 3-minute public comment allowance during council meetings just isn't enough for impactful conversations. So I would seek council support to ensure participation at these events, productive and engaging conversations. And I promise to consider resident feedback, research relevant data, and make decisions that will benefit the 9,600 residents of our community and our city.
Great. Now we will hear from Alec McLaughlin, Tina Welch, and Will Bennett.
Okay, so the way that I would seek public input is I would leverage social media. I think we've seen an increase of social media use in the last 8 years and where we get our news from. So I would leverage that, and then also I would always be happy to answer my email as well and try to have an open line of communication with all of our residents. In addition to that, kind of piggybacking off of what Rick said. I don't know if you read my notes or not, but I think hosting a coffee or some type of event in the public, maybe round robining around local businesses, to get out in the community, encourage people to come tell us, what they think, what their opinions are, what has changed from our community plan, what are their new concerns. So that would be one thing that I would like to implement at least once a month, so that way we could stay ahead of the bell curve and make sure that us as city council members are serving the best interest of our community, and not just hoping and praying that we're doing the right thing. Also, attending community events and being out in the public and being accessible. I will make that a priority, as I'm already out in public, but I will make sure that I'm out there more. And then whether public input has an effect on the way I make decisions, absolutely. As an elected official, you're elected by the public. I mean, you're your job is to serve the best interests of your residents. So that is absolutely going to be number one way I'm going to make my decisions, is based off of the community input I get, and then obviously the facts that are given to me as well. Thank you.
So my plan is to continue building the relationships that I've already established, attend community events. I'm already accessible on social media, email, my website, and my personal cell phone is on all my lit. I think it's just the business card, not the lit. So I will capitalize on all that, make sure that I answer. I'll be in the community with all the events with everyone else. I would also like to hold office hours in the local library, and I am investigating if it is possible to have teletown halls via Zoom, just to make sure that people that don't feel plugged in or can't attend a council meeting would have an avenue to reach out and voice their opinions with other people.
Yeah, don't show me that thing again. Like, just don't. The timer is awful. All right, so yeah, it's really a thing. All right, so I want to be a community representative. I challenged myself when I decided that I was going to run again. How was I going to do something different than what I did before? And so this time I've decided I've put together a dedicated line for residents to call or text. I want that form of communication with you. Yes, we have dedicated city council emails, but when's the last time you emailed your mom? Like, she's not looking for an email. If you don't call or text, like text isn't, phone calls preferred, but text is acceptable. This is the kind of relationship I want to have with the public. I want you to be able to get a hold of me when you need me. If you have a question, text or call. I want to be a small town elected official. This is how I'm going to preserve the small town charm that I want to keep here, right? I want you to be able to contact me when you need me. But I'd also like to do a couple other things. I'd like to work with the city staff to find dedicated space for city council to formalize office hours. I think we should have a space where residents can come and have face-to-face conversations during set periods of time. I also would favor bringing back our town hall meetings that we did pre-COVID. I think there was a certain value to that. They were quarterly, they weren't monthly, but there was a lot of value in holding those meetings and having a casual face-to-face conversation with the public. Community coffee, maybe we also do a Thursday beer. But we could do a couple of other things there. It doesn't all have to be community coffees. But as far as the impact on my decision making, it's critical. I work for you. Your voice needs to be heard. And so I've got to find ways to make sure I'm engaging with you to hear your voice. Time.
Okay, moving on. Along the same lines of the community, the Joint Recreation Department is a venture between the city and the school district. The question is, do you support this program? Would you make any changes, for example, to add activities outside of sports? And do you have a plan to gain input from students or the youth in the area? We'll start with Tina, we'll go to Steve, and then Will Bennett.
As the mother of a son who was very active in CWJRD, multiple sports for multiple seasons and sometimes several sports at once, I wholeheartedly support CWJRD. I think it's a wonderful program. I believe the impact of the lessons that he learned affected him, mentally, emotionally, and physically. His development allowed him to continue to be a great athlete even now in high school. I don't have any changes that I would propose. I would leave that to the parents and the volunteers to suggest that before any decisions were made. I do think, and I would like to pursue seeing if we could add some non-sports activities, whether it is maybe a home ec curriculum or a organized group of volunteers for the kids to do things as simple as pulling weeds for senior citizens or visiting the nursing homes for the elderly that are in the nursing home. Anything like that that will have a daily impact on the residents, and then it teaches the children just such valuable life lessons.
Thank you. So, as a father of 2 children that grew up in our program, one that loved cheerleading and the other one that didn't have an athletic bone in his body, I would love to see some other items added to that program outside of just sports. I think that is vital for the kids in our community. I would love to see them have a place to get plugged in with something other than just sports. It could be music. I know my son loved skateboarding. There are endless options that we could add to that. And I know Jill has brought that up in City Council and is on board and helped to support that as well. So I think there is a path forward for adding these things. And as a City Council member, I am all about providing funding for that as well. So I love that program.
All right, this thing, okay. All right, so my vision for the Joint Rec, and I served as chair of the Joint Rec for 5 years. Part of the reason we're on the path to have programming that exists outside of sports education lies at my footsteps, or my feet. It lies at my doorstep. It's one of those analogies. It started here, okay? When we brought recreation professionals together to help evaluate and sort of, what our programming looked like, there was a clear and obvious lack of recreational experience within our own community and the leadership of the Joint Rec. We needed a professional that could come in and help administer programming. We hired Greg. Hello? Okay. We hired Greg Pierce to serve as our recreation director. He's now working to get his feet under him. That's a good analogy. And build programming within the community. Now you have to start with your base before you can build out. So he had to get his feet under him, and that starts with youth athletics. That's what we're built on. But now we're starting to see that expansion into the arts. And I guess my background comes, so I, as a child, was not athletic either. I think I'm losing this. So my background was not athletic either. I took Saturday morning art classes. And I think there's a lot of value. I actually taught Saturday morning art classes for a long time too. But I think there's a lot of value to an art program within our community. I hope that we can bring that to life. I know that they're working now to try and engage students to provide input to Joint Rec programming. I had the opportunity to sort of witness as a member of the community plan sort of super insightful kids from our high school coming in and giving impact, and I look forward to hearing more from them. And so I look to put more programming together where they can provide insight.
Great. And the same question then for Richard Moore, Chuck Milliken, and Alec McLaughlin.
Well, I'm probably a little biased here since I'm on the board of JRD currently, but I do fully support the continuation and growth of that organization. But to expand offerings, we have to have more support from the cities and the school. That comes with funding, participation, and multiple other things. I am completely for expanding the programs outside of athletics. Not every single kid is going to be involved in athletics. We have the opportunity right now to grow that program. Like Will said, Greg has really gotten his feet underneath him and feeling confident. We've already started to expand programming with the steel drum band, which we were going to lose as a community until Canal Winchester Joint Rec picked it up. I do believe we can also include science, technology, mathematics, arts. It's endless, the possibilities are. So with the support of the community, with the support of the city, we can definitely do those things. As far as taking input from students, absolutely. Those were the last kids that were involved in these programs before they moved on to middle school and high school and don't have that availability for the rec program anymore. Will mentioned earlier that 2 students really got together and initiated the recycling program in Canal. Obviously, it started off as a trial run, and now we all have curbside recycling because of the idea of 2 students. So the impact of students, it can be very, very powerful if we give them the time and the voice to speak. So I am all for that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I could pretty much echo everything that's been said up until this point. I would just add, yes, my 2 boys participate in the JRD program as well. My oldest, all about basketball. My youngest is playing baseball. Yes, we're already exploring these other activities outside of sport. And a large part of that is due to the hiring of Mr. Pierce. That financial assistance, I guess, for lack of a better word, was provided to the JRD from the city, which I happily voted for and support. So yeah, I 100% support the JRD. I like the direction they're heading. They're definitely on a upward trajectory. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so going last is a lot different than going first. I feel like I have a lot less to say. Yeah, just kind of what everybody else said. I am definitely in support of the CWJRD. I have a 4-year-old son who's getting ready to participate and hopefully explore many of the programs that the CWJRD offers. So I'm definitely in support of that. I think the CWJRD is critical to our community. And the reason it's critical is because it gives, well, I don't know if it's been said, there's adult programs too, but it gives students and adults an opportunity to feel like they have a place in our community, also go be active, and then lastly, build core values for children, for young adults. I mean, I think that's one of the most important things that anybody pulls out of sports is the values that they build from that. So, and then it also allows for mentorship throughout the community, whether it be through coaching or parents. So that way we can foster a stronger community together. CWJRD is, it's pivotal in doing that. And then as far as adding additional programs to CWJRD, a lot of letters there. Yeah, absolutely. I think we should definitely expand upon it. Community, there's more than just athletes inside of a community. There's people that need to feel included that aren't feeling included currently. So I think adding the arts, technology, anything else would be beneficial to Canal Winchester coming together. So if people feel like they have a place that they can go and express themselves. So, thank you.
On behalf of the nerds in the community, I champion a board game group as part of the Joint Recreation District. Oh, Monopoly is a dirty word for today's board games. Okay, so we have a 2-part question, so we're going to up the time to 3 minutes per candidate. We received several questions about planning for future growth in the city. Some were in favor, some are not, some are questioning the process. So this is a 2-part question, and that's why you have the extended time. For the first part, please describe your plan to attract new businesses and residences, capitalizing on the fast growth in the Central Ohio area. And the second part is, should residents be allowed to vote on new development? Why or why not? We'll go individually since it's a longer one. Let's start with Richard Moore, who will speak very close to the microphone.
All right. By the end of this, I will figure out how to work a microphone. This is embarrassing. Also, probably the toughest and most important question of the night, so thanks for getting me the lead off. With our city being so close to Columbus, growth is inevitable. We don't have any choice but to grow. Major tech companies like Intel, Amazon, sorry, gonna look at my notes here, Meta, they've all made a significant investment in our area. So To enhance our community, we have to collaborate, with our development director. We need to reference and follow the comprehensive plan once it's approved and attract smart developments that complement our town without causing a financial strain. We can't dictate private land use, but we can control the zoning of it. We can control infrastructure expansion and community development by leveraging the comprehensive plan as a North Star to preserve our downtown and curate development in other areas. And as far as residents' feedback and whether they should be allowed to vote, residents should have a platform for feedback, ideas, and opinion on Canal Winchester's growth and development. I support resident involvement. I don't know that it's possible to have a vote every time that there's new development in the area, but I'm willing to explore solutions to be able to get community input before making potentially life-changing decisions that affect everybody in the community. Once again, I am committed to genuinely listening and representing our residents' interest and prioritizing what benefits our community other than the developers. Thank you.
Great. Now we'll hear from Alec McLaughlin.
All right, so as far as development goes within our city, I want to take a proactive approach so that way we can be aggressive about attracting the businesses that we want here and not being stuck with, businesses that lead to community disruption and that are kind of, just taking from our community but not giving anything back. As Rick said, with Intel investing in Central Ohio and billions of other dollars being invested by other corporations, there's going to be a spinoff of a lot of companies that need a place to call home and need to build operations here in Central Ohio. Just Intel alone has over 40 companies that have been targeted that are going to be coming to Central Ohio. So what I think we can do is be proactive, court these companies, try to attract them into our community. Yes, like Rick said, we can't pick and choose who comes, but we can try to help filter and attract people to come purchase the land that's within our community. I'm looking for a partner when we're looking for businesses, somebody that's going to help our culture and is willing to invest in our community. And then obviously provide a good tax base as well. So that's what I'm looking for. As far as community involvement, when development comes to play, I think, like Rick said, it's going to be tough to take a vote every time we have a new development coming amongst the community. But I think these community coffees and reaching out to community, being active in the community as a council, not just myself, but all of us as a council, is important, and it's crucial so that way we can hear what you guys think about the development that's happening in Canal Winchester. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Chuck Milliken.
Vote is pretty difficult, right? We only vote twice a year. That would make it pretty difficult for things to get done in a timely manner. But that doesn't mean that the say on. We did the community development plan, which a broad brush of folks in this community had an input in and say in what that means and what that is moving forward. I fully support that. I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle here. I have a full-time job, and be honest with you. I would love to sit down all day and talk with business owners and attract and pick and choose and do these things. But to be honest with you, that's not the time schedule that I have. Fortunately for the city of Canal Winchester, we have a 5-star development director, in my opinion. Lucas Hare is top of the line. I realize that people may disagree with that. But for me, I'm happy we have Lucas here. I think he's done a fantastic. My job as a council member is to provide business owners and people that want to do business in Canal Winchester with a business-friendly environment. we've talked ad nauseum, I think, over the past 4 years over warehouses. I don't want to berate that. I mean, if you want to talk to me about warehouses, I'm an open book. Come find me. We can talk about warehouses. But the second type of development that I'm most asked about are bars and restaurants. And I think doing things like passing the DORA provides a business-friendly environment that people want to come in and do business in Canal Winchester and open up their bar, restaurant, establishment, what have you. Thank you.
Tina Welch.
Thank you. I differ a little bit with the guys. There's not much more we can say about the development. We all know development is coming. It's inevitable with Intel being so close. I agree with everything they're saying. I think I want to prioritize small businesses, local owners being in our community and having preference on space to rent, on loans, on grants, anything like that we can do. But where I differ with the gentlemen that have spoken so far is I do believe it's possible for residents to vote. You know, we get those surveys all the time that you have to register for, and you can only vote once, right? So there is a way that we can put in some kind of opinion on email format. I don't know exactly what the answer is, but I do think that it's worth pursuing so that every person can vote on what affects their daily lives and their property.
Will Bennett.
We're just going to stare each other down. All right. First part of this was attracting. Sorry. We're losing the table. All right. Pause. All right. I'm too big for the platform. First part of that is residences. I think we certainly need a measured approach with adding new residences. We already probably have maybe enough in the pipeline. Maybe that's not the focus. City Council's role is a little bit different, maybe than what you'd expect. It's more of a policy and funding arm of government, right? So we have certain levers we can pull to sort of help. What I'd like to see us enact is, it's called a revolving loan. There's a revolving loan program other communities are doing. You could work with businesses to get this program at a smaller interest rate than what they would be able to go and get from a regular bank. The banking industry right now and loans to start a new business are high. We could be able to offset that and help small business owners. Often City Council will, we abate taxes to build buildings. Now that's what you got to do if you want to stay competitive. You want to help people build buildings, but we got to find ways to help people who want to open the doors, right? How are we going to preserve the small town charm? We got to find more small local business owners. We got to create programs that can support them. So revolving loan program is one. Loan to grant program is another program that again other communities around us are doing that we could start here. I would like to see council support it. Ms. Amick has shared that Columbus State and the city of Groveport have partnered to do small business startup coaching. She would like to bring that program to Canal Winchester. I would be in favor of starting that program here. Let's create the same program for small local businesses. We've got a lot of opportunity in our downtown. We need to figure out how we're going to fill those buildings. So what policies can we help small local business owners to do? We also need feedback in the study. So the community plan is out there right now. CWgrowingtogether.com. If you haven't been, please go. We need your feedback. This is the document that's going to help guide our future. This document will also help us attract businesses. How does a document help? Well, it says that we've planned these certain business types to come here. So it lets people know with confidence, these are the business types we're willing to support as a community. If you're not on board, go out to that site and say it now. That's your opportunity to vote. Can we vote? No, we can't vote. It's not feasible from a cost perspective. We could do surveys, but My job is to stay in tune with you so that I know what you're thinking. Okay, I think I'm out of time. I got 2 seconds.
And finally, we'll hear from Steve Buskirk.
Thank you. You've heard some great feedback. One of the things that I attended recently, and the Chambers put it on, so thank you to the Chambers, was a lunch and learn called Intel on Intel. And I was just blown away with the information that was shared and the impact that Intel will have on this community and the communities surrounding us. They have a large radius of impact. They are currently building 2 large structures there, and they own 1,000 acres with the potential to build up to 8 of those large structures. That's going to be multiple years project. The support that they will need to have for those is going to impact all of Ohio. It will impact Canal Winchester. The lady that gave the presentation said, think about everything that we have in our community now. You're going to need more of it. You're going to need more grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants. If you name it, we need more of it. And I know for myself, my son has been looking for a home here in Canal Winchester for the last 2 years. He finally found one, but it was a struggle. You know, he would bid on a house and then get outbid. So to me, housing is a huge priority for, you know, that I think our community could need. So I personally reached out to several developers, and they were very interested in coming to our town. You know, we do have a great development director. I would love for some of those opportunities to come out where we can expand the borders of Canal Winchester into the surrounding areas. So maybe there'll be some new annexations where we can grow our city limits. City of Columbus, I would love to hold them off. They've come this way far enough. You know, I love our small town, and I would love for us to say, hey, we're going to start expanding southward and eastward and grow our city a little bit more. But I also feel like this is a great opportunity for us to pick and choose. There's going to be lots of businesses wanting to come here. Some small business, local businesses, and I want to be able to work with our city council, our development director and staff and saying, these are the ones that we want in our community. And if you don't fit our model, if you can't meet our standards, then maybe this is not the community for you to come and develop in. So I think that's a great opportunity for us to hold people accountable to our needs. I do support our community plan. I think there was a large number of people that had input into that, and there was a lot of great thought put into that. So as a city council person, I want to make sure that we're providing appropriate development that meets that plan. Housing goes where it goes, industrial goes where it goes, warehouses go where they go. And as far as the community having input, I think having input is great. I don't think we're going to have an opportunity for every single one of those to be able to vote.
Thank you, Steve. We appreciate.
You're welcome.
I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of digging that role. We're going to just do a very brief question, and all you have to do is raise your hand if it applies to you. Will you, or do you plan to, accept an endorsement from a political party for this position? Please raise your hand if the answer is yes. Okay, now, believe it or not, we're running ahead of schedule. I have one official question left, and then I can give you the time back to talk about whatever you want, or I can continue down with the backup questions. So I'll let you guys noodle on that for a minute, and then we'll come back to that. So right now, the last question that we have for our allotted time is, what is your opinion on the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the Canal Winchester community? We are going to start with Chuck Milliken and then move to Will Bennett.
I'm so glad you started with me on this one because I co-authored the Canal Winchester Resolution 20-012, our commitment to DEI. It was approved unanimously by council, and just a little historical context on that. You know, DEI became a big hot button issue 3 years ago with riots and George Floyd and all of that. I, once communities started addressing this, I wanted to get right out in front of it, and I wanted to write a resolution that was unique to Canal Winchester and didn't just mimic what everybody else was doing. So I would encourage you to look up Resolution 20-012. Again, I co-authored it along with Mrs. Amos and former Councilman Mr. Lynch.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think this is obviously an important topic. I have not faced any of the challenges that this topic is set to address, right? So my job is that I have to work hard to make sure I'm engaging with people with different perspectives and different looks from different backgrounds so that I can understand the socioeconomic impact of all of the policies that we're going to pass. So we did distractive driving here, right? Canal Winchester's hands-free, can't hold it. Part of the big discussion was, well, what's the impact on those that can't afford Bluetooth cars? The idea was never that we were trying to push you into a Bluetooth car, that you had to have a Bluetooth-enabled device. The idea is that you just had to cradle your phone, right? And so it just has to be you're not holding it. You can use it, boop, 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 like a radio, just can't hold it. To support that, when we passed it, I bought 50 handheld, like hand-free devices that you could install in your car. I gave them to the Fairfield County Sheriff so that as they were pulling folks over, they could make sure they were handing those out. Also, this is not a new concept, right? Americans with Disabilities Act was enabled long ago. The idea was inclusion and equality. It's not a new topic. Universal design is also a principle that's set to help remove barriers for folks so that everything is accessible. We make sure we build to the broadest common denominator. But at its core, what DEI is about is it's just about people from different backgrounds having an equal opportunity. And I fully support making that a priority. Thank you.
And now we'll hear from Steve Buskirk and Alec McLaughlin.
So I think this is a buzzword across our country, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I think we all need to be on board with making sure we're doing everything we can to make sure we are providing a level playing field. As he mentioned, there's a lot of times where it's very hard for us to understand what that means from another perspective. So I think there needs to be an open line of communications in our community about what that means to different groups of people, because it doesn't necessarily mean the same for everyone. So I would love to hear from other people what that do and what it means in our community and how we can make to help make sure that as a city council that we are being diverse and inclusive and providing equity amongst all residents of Canal Winchester.
So yeah, I mean, I'm with all of them. I think it's very important. Inclusion's important. It's an important part of our community, important part of community. I mean, as I've went around and met with residents and knocked on doors, there's been people that don't feel like they're been welcomed. They've moved in the last 5 years or 7 years, don't feel like they're welcomed in our community. And that hurts my heart. As a lifelong resident, I want everybody to love Canal as much as I love Canal. Get as much out of it as I've gotten out of it over the last 29 years. And so, yeah, I think we should search for opportunities and public input on how we can, be more inclusive as a community to the diverse backgrounds that people might have. I mean, Columbus is a very diverse city, and it's a growingly diverse city, and, that makes Canal Winchester a growingly diverse city as we get new residents. So I just want to make sure everyone feels welcomed in our community, feels like they have a spot in our community. And so if that requires public input or maybe an action committee by the residents so that way they can advise us on council what is lacking in our community, I'm 100% for that. Thank you.
And we'll hear from Tina Welch and Richard Moore.
This is such a hot button topic, and it seems like if you have an opinion about it, you're in one camp or another, and you're labeled as one thing or another. But I want to make it very clear. I want to make sure that all families feel included and welcome in the Canal Winchester community. My entire platform is built on family first, so it is very important. I think there's way more that unites us than divides us. I stand 100% for the unity within our community. But I do believe that DEI has been weaponized as divisive rhetoric, and I would really like to move away from that agenda and those feelings so that we can all stand together for the benefit of our community.
Okay. Last but not least, if you look at the comprehensive plan, on a surface level, it doesn't appear there's a lot of diversity in our community. But when you start engaging with the residents, you'll realize there's a wealth of diverse opinions, experiences, and ideas. And we have to embrace that diversity and promote equity and inclusion because it's vital for the success of our community. Our town has been recently divided, and we need a positive shift. And that begins with active listening, accepting the diverse community, and moving forward. Inclusivity, it doesn't just foster unity, but it attracts people. It attracts talent, it attracts businesses, it attracts organization, and that drives economic prosperity. So DE&I is very important.
Okay, can I see, my question is, do you want 3 minutes to talk about whatever you want, or do you want me to keep reading the additional questions that were submitted? So raise your hand if you want to talk about whatever you want. I can't see. How many was that? Just one? All right, I'm going down the questions. All right. Currently, the Canal, let's do this as a hand raising first, and then I'll ask if anybody wants to elaborate. Currently, the Canal Winchester Charter is structured for a mayor-strong government. Do you support this, or would you like to see a change? Please raise your hand if you would like to see a change. Okay, we're going to let people answer that question. And, yeah, how about 2 minutes for everybody, Julie? Is that okay? And to keep things simple, why don't we start with Chuck and work our way down the table for this one. You're welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I wasn't going to raise my hand either way because I wholeheartedly believe this is a charter review issue. You know, I can make an argument either way, but I think this decision should be left to the residents 100%. So when the charter review convenes here in a couple years, I think it is, if they come in and say, we want to keep strong mayor, then I'm going to support strong mayor. And if they come in and they say, we want to change, and we want a weak mayor, I'm going to fully support that. This is a 100% charter review decision, in my opinion.
Now you can hear me. Chuck, I agree with you. I believe this is a decision for the residents of Canal Winchester through that charter review. I do feel like we did get ahead of ourselves. We hired a city manager, and we have a great person for that. And we turned around and we reduced the mayor's salary significantly without doing a charter review. So I kind of feel like we moved to trying to make a part-time mayor without the residents' input. So I feel like we did one step before we did the other one. So I would love to see us move to that charter review a little bit sooner than 2 years from now, and let the residents make a decision. And I support whatever the residents would like to do, but I kind of feel like we moved to a weak mayor already in the decision that was previously made.
Yeah, it goes without saying that the residents would need to vote on this in the 2 years. I personally, if we're asking like the personal opinion of the candidates, I do believe that moving to a week mayor would be more productive for the community. If you look at the trends of the surrounding cities, the vast majority of them have a weak mayor working with a city administrator. Groveport is an example. I believe New Albany. There are several that have done this very, very successfully. So in my opinion, the mayor has a very important role, even in a weak role. So my personal opinion is, yes, we need a change.
Okay, so yeah, I raised my hand, and I'm divided on this issue because I do see a lot of benefits for what's happened over the the 29 years I've lived in Canal Winchester with having a strong mayor. However, in the spirit of having a proactive approach to commercial development, making sure that we are competing with the other communities around us and drawing in good businesses and providing opportunities for the residents, I think having more subject matter experts at our disposal is good. We're elected officials, but like Chuck said earlier, we do all have full-time jobs. This is a part-time job. So I'm never going to say that I know everything. I'm going to listen to my residents, but listening to experts like the experts we have now with, Amanda Jackson, Matt Peoples, Lucas Hare, and others we may bring on board if we make that switch, I think will only benefit us. So that is why, I raised my hand. But yes, I think it is up to the city residents to vote on this and make that decision, not for me. That's just my personal opinion. Thank you.
All right, so the charter's set to review in 2025. We can put certain processes in place to get that reviewed very quickly in 2025. In 2024, we can get the committee set to review that charter, so we're not waiting until the end of 2025. So really what we can do is have this decision made in maybe a year and a quarter, year and a half instead of 2 years, so a little bit faster than what we're talking about. I am in 100% agreement with everybody that it is up to the residents. They're going to have to vote on it. If I was a resident, or I am a resident, if I was voting on it, I would vote. Sorry, I would vote for a mayor week setup. I think that we've already started the steps for that by hiring a city administrator. We've lowered the salary, like Steve said, of the mayor. So we are already kind of moving forward that way, but we didn't get the citizens' input, so we have to get the citizens' input to make it final. But I would respect any decision that was made by the voting population. Thank you.
I mean, we don't even need to do that. I'm the last one. You just turn it off. All right. So, and I don't want to take issue with anything anyone said. There's just a few things I would like to point out. We talk about part-time, full-time elected officials. There is no part-time or full-time elected official. This job is as much as you put into it. So while the salary may be reduced, the role of potentially Mayor Ebert or any other mayor is still potentially as much effort as they want to put in. They could put in 40 hours a week. I might put in 40 hours a week as a city council candidate, and it could be 2 full-time jobs. I'm only getting paid $7,000 to do it, but that's on me. The hourly rate stinks. I could vote myself a raise. The process can't start till 2025. So that's in the charter. We can't actually have a meeting of the Charter Review Commission until 2025. No bones about it. That's when it starts. Now, we could have a vote by 2025. We could make sure that that work is concluded in time to make that submission to the Board of Elections and get the vote in 2025. But we can't begin the work any sooner. Am I doing okay? Okay, great. So I agree that the decision is ultimately left to the residents. I'm a resident. You're a resident. My personal opinion on this, though, this personal hat, is that, listen, we've promoted Matt Peoples into a role I got a lot of feedback. Pause. Can we get a reset on that clock? All right. Me and the clock are not having a good time. So See, now I got to find where I was. What were we talking about? Hired Matt Peoples. Thank you. Sorry. So Matt Peoples is now our city administrator. I would hate for one vote of a mayor's office to potentially lose a seasoned public servant. The mayor's role would then have the opportunity to remove a city administrator if they were elected, and that concerns me. It makes our city a little bit more volatile. We could change at a whim, the whim of one person, and I think that might be why we'd want, we might want to do a strong council. That's all, just for stability. But again,
Thanks, Will.
residents will vote on it.
So, for our final question of the evening, we will start with Will and work our way down the other side of the table. And you please share with us your plans or goals for the next 4 years if elected.
So I'm gonna do all the other things I talked about. Revolving loans, grant to loans, all those things. The obvious ones is create more community engagement, transparency in government. We want to make sure that we're working effectively for residents. I think, when you get on city council, you start as a newbie, you get on rules committee, you're appointed the chair, you get to learn all the rules. One of the things I did when I got on was I tried to structure the meetings so they would be more effective and work for residents. We went to work sessions, right? Chuck got on that committee and he reprioritized the agenda to make it so that it was better for residents. They could come to a meeting, voice their concerns, and then the city official reports would be right after that, and so that they could respond to resident concerns instead of having to wait until the end of the meeting to hear if the city was going to respond. I think that was a great change. But I also want to work on strengthening our multifamily and industrial standards. I want to review zoning in other cities to kind of see if we're keeping pace, if there's any changes we need to consider. I want to work to divert waste from landfills with either compost or yard waste recycling. But we want to do that in a manner where we're not burdening extra cost on residents that don't want to participate in those programs. I want to ensure the community plan is instituted. I want all of you to go out and visit cwgrowtogether.com and provide your feedback. We need it. It's urgent. Then also want to make sure we're doing policing studies every 5 years so that you know that you have the proper amount of service of public safety in your community. I got 21 seconds. You want to sing a song? I don't know.
All right, two more minutes. So first of all, public safety. Every resident deserves to feel safe and secure. I'm going to look to potentially expand our relationship with both Madison Township and Fairfield County, potentially adding additional officers when the timing is right, though. We need to continue and grow and support the CWJRD. We already have activities for our youth, but we can continue to grow that into adult programs and senior programming. Extended programming, like I said earlier, to include science, technology, mathematics, and the arts. This can only be done, though, through continued support through the city and the schools. Responsible growth, I think we're all for that. It's inevitable, but we have to make sure we preserve our small town feel. Bring the type of businesses and residential development that makes sense to Canal Winchester. And then once again, transparency and community involvement. I want every person in the community to feel like they have a voice. Our residents need to feel respected and welcome to speak up. By being transparent, it will help repair the relationship between the city and the community.
Okay, so, obviously I've lived in Canal forever. I want to preserve our downtown. I love our downtown. I know majority of our residents love our downtown. I want to protect what we have here. I've talked a lot about development tonight and being proactive about development. That's what I've said multiple times. I do want to be proactive about drawing in the right businesses here, but not at the risk of harming what we have here. It needs to be, like what Rick said, responsible. So that would be one of my goals why during my 4 years on council. I want to improve our infrastructure. I think we've seen some phases of Jenner Road. I think we're on phase six now. And I would like to see that continue to happen. I mean, we're seeing a bottleneck on Jenner Road, so if we can continue to improve our infrastructure and then the side streets and the curbs to continue the appearance of Canal Winchester as being a beautiful community, I'd like to do that. And probably one of the most important things is I want to promote unity within our community. I think we've seen a lot of division over the last 4 or 5 years in Canal Winchester. There's 1 or 2 or 3 topics that have just drove an axe between all of us in some form or fashion, and I think we need to come back together because the key word in community is unity, and we don't have a community without unity, and everybody realizing that there's more that brings us together than tears us apart. So, yeah, thank you.
So I just love this question. I'm very excited about my goals. The first one, I would like to partner with the high school to develop a youth council. So these young ambassadors could bring their questions, their concerns, their comments straight to city officials. This would allow them to learn about city government, how it works, what is needed. It will teach them to advocate for themselves and for others. It will teach them the importance of being active on a local level. I think that is missing so much with our younger generations. And then most importantly, it'll plant the seeds of desire in them to be leaders when they are older. So my second goal would be, it's come from a passion of mine that is advocating for victims of intimate partner violence. So I would like to work with established organizations and then investigate starting an organization of our own to bring needed resources, not just in emergency situations, but in the event that a victim would then need to reestablish a household, because normally in those situations, those victims lose almost everything. So I just think it's really important to provide that. I would also envision it helping single parent households with any support that they may need. I think it is really imperative that we provide families and students, especially with the stability that they need to function better at school, have full bellies, good night's sleep, being able to study because there's less turmoil in the household. And then it helps the parents actually parent. They can focus on what the children need instead of functioning in a chaotic environment. I think that makes our community stronger as a whole if all of our families are safe and secure.
A little bit different as I will be elected for the remainder of a 2-year term. So my next 2 years, my goals are going to focus on infrastructure. We've got a lot of development coming to Canal Winchester and the surrounding areas, and we need to make sure that we have an infrastructure that will support that. We've been really pushing hard with ODOT to make some improvements to 33 from the 270 corridor all the way down past Canal Winchester. So we've been pushing for that. There's lots of funding opportunities, so we've been working with MORPC and other agencies trying to push ODOT into making that a priority. We are having a meeting tomorrow night with the City of Columbus to talk about an improvement to Gender Road from Winchester Pike all the way up to Bryce Road. So that is in their planning. I know Franklin County Engineer's Office is going to be replacing a bridge just south of Lehman Road, and we are going to build that, widen it out enough to make room for the improvement that the City of Columbus will be doing in the future. There's also a project that is going to help with connectivity of our trails, the bike trails that'll go down Groveport Road and connect into Groveport and the bike paths down there near the dog park on Lithopolis Road. So I would love to keep pushing in the direction of making improvements to that infrastructure to make sure that as we have that development come into our community, that I don't have to sit in another 20 minutes of traffic every day to get to and from work.
Amen.
So I think we're all have seen the effects of inflation on our wallets over the past year. I'd like to do my part here locally and continue to be fiscally conservative for you and support development that protects our taxes, keeps our taxes as low as they possibly can be. I think we have room for improvement in our community for different organizations to collaborate a little bit better and communicate and work with one another. I'd like to continue to facilitate those discussions. We've had an increased focus on City Council regarding pedestrian safety. I would like to continue that focus and make improvements to core target areas where we can make better, safe intersections, walkways, what have you, for pedestrians. I want to be a very pedestrian-friendly downtown and all over Canal Winchester. And like Mr. Buskirk said, we're doing our best to get a new intersection at Bixby Road and 33. Pickerington Road has taken priority over that, but I think every single one of us would love to see that happen. I'm in full support of it. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that happens. These projects take a long time. It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of development. Some of the development we've brought in has brought in over $1 million to go towards that interchange. And lastly, I'd just like to say that I'd reiterate my beginning point that, I want to continue the harmony on City Council. I think every single one of these candidates is a phenomenal individual, and I think that we're in a good place no matter what happens.
Thank you, Chuck. We appreciate that. Let's have one final round of applause for all our City Council members this evening. They were definitely good sports, so we appreciate that. We're going to take a brief 10-minute break that's going to let us switch, so we'll start promptly again at 7:25.
I knew it was going to fall. Oh, yes. You want us out front of the table? Or? Wherever you guys. Yeah, let's go in front. Yeah, we'll go. It's treacherous back here.
It's treacherous getting down.
Sorry, I went the wrong way and I told you. Clear that out a little bit.
I was going to ask on that last question. I can only get it. I only got half the time.
I know you're good friends with my buddy Stacy Garman. Yeah. Yeah, you can see he's breakfast with you a lot. Yep. Very high energy. Said you tried to get into government once, and he said you were one of the Yeah. Yeah, he did. That's what he said. Stacey likes to have fun. Oh, yeah. Don't we all? Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye.
Right, so we don't have any like noise on each other's microphones. You'll have to turn your mic on and off as you steer.
Yes.
So,
The A is silent.
Okay.
The A is silent.
I'm just going to pretend it's to
Yeah.
Steve or
That's it. You got it.
you're ready to go.
I just had make sure I did it
So
right.
get
it's
it.
just right here. Just
Okay.
turn it on. This will
You hold it?
It'll flash just
Hold it.
for like a second maybe, and then to
Turn it on.
off.
So you want it on and off.
Yeah, just so the noise doesn't pick up.
And Chuck Milligan said something about
Yes. Well, and if when you speak, make sure you're up here with your mic. You can't be down here. Up here, close to the mouth. Close to the mouth, so there's projects. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, can I get y'all's picture real quick? Mike, right here. Ready, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, thank you all. We're getting ready to start.
I'm taking my hat off, sir.
Hi.
Hi, see you.
How you doing? I'm doing good. How you doing? You take care of yourself?
Oh, good to see you
How you
again.
doing?
Yes.
I was going to tell you, if y'all didn't know, yeah, I know he mentioned the Gender Road Widening Project, but there's also a meeting for the Eastland Plan. So if you don't know about that, did you know about that? What's that? There's a meeting on the 14th at Barnett Center, Barnett Rec Center. It's from 11 to 1, open to the public, but they're going to talk about what they have planned for Eastland. Information for people who want to provide their ideas. We're going to go over what they've got so far. Okay? And then also on, that's
Last call. We're getting ready to get started.
Hi, Rona. Good to see you.
Okay. Everybody, welcome back. While we're just settling in, I want to remind you that on the last Saturday in October, so just a few weeks away, there's a health fair happening at the high school from 9 to 12. You can get flu shots. You can meet all the medical professionals in the community. There's a 5K race where you can run in your costume. I believe all the mayor candidates are going to walk in a costume, so I think you should turn out to see that. No flinching. These guys have been here before. There's no flinching up there. Welcome back. Let's meet our candidates. Tonight we have Mike Ebert, Joe Steger, and Mike Walker, all running for mayor. We're going to do it very similar that we did. We're just going to change up the order and ask the questions that they all received in advance. And we have our lovely Julie from Cryle Communications with the iPad. Okay, let's go. First question, 2 minutes per candidate. Please briefly introduce yourself and share your contributions to the community over the past 4 years. We'll start with Mike Ebert, move to Mike Walker, and then finish with Joe Steger.
Okay, thank you. Well, as she said, I'm Mike Ebert. I've been mayor of Canal, Winchester for the last 16 years. I'm a 56-year resident of Canal, Winchester, and a lifetime resident of the school district, so I've been around here a little while. Over the years, going back further than 16 probably, but I participated in a lot of different events, including several or a couple that were new startups, the Canal Winchester Prescription Drug Take Back Day, Easter egg hunts, which has grown from about 100 kids to more than 600 now, Labor Day celebration, Arbor Day celebration, Canal Winchester Area Historical Society Gala contributor and auction participant. I helped start up the Chris Sims Memorial Relay for Life Spaghetti Dinner, which the city employees put on every year. The VFW Memorial Day celebration at the cemetery, the Hometown Hero Banner Committee, Labor Day volunteer and donor, Canal Winchester Dora planning, Veterans Day celebration every November, the Christmas in the Village, volunteer and participant. And that event has grown from about 500 people a night to now over 1,500 people. So it's really taken off quite well, and we've grown it for a lot of different activities to happen there. I have, every year I read a proclamation in September for a local child cancer victim, and that's, when I do that, I get a little choked up every time I do that, but I bring a child cancer victim to council meeting, read the proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Ebert. I appreciate your comments. We'll go ahead and move on to Mike Walker.
Good evening, everyone. And in spirit of the time and staying on topic, I promised Denise Mathias that I would take some notes this time and stay under my 2-minute limit, because I seem to go over it the last 4 years ago just about every time. I am a storyteller and enjoy going over the limit a little bit. So I will not do that this evening, and I would like to also thank the Chamber, thank all of you for being here, and also I would like to thank Terry Canal Wigwam for sponsoring the presenting sponsor, the Code 6 Bravo cocktail sponsor, and Edward Jones, Denise Mathias, CRCP, advocacy sponsor. So thank you so much, and thank you again for being here. First, let me say the reason I got involved with the community is I love this city. I believe that we're one of the greatest cities in Central Ohio. I love to be here. I've been here for a long time, raised my family here, and I just think we're the finest. At this time, I'll let you know that I've served 8 years on City Council, including 2 years as president. I volunteered for the Veterans Day celebration, Christmas in the Village, the gala event, Easter egg hunt, Historical Society ice cream social, Brock Strong events, Run Your Stash Off 5K that benefits St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and Finding Cures. It's also put on by the Fairfield County Sheriff's Department. Daddy-Daughter Dance, the Labor Day Festival, Blues and Rib Fest, Downtown Merchants, Human Services Super Bowl, the Senior Prom for seniors, and Chamber of Commerce, and Miss Canal Winchester Scholarship Pageant, and the Senior Valentine's Dance. Once again, it gives me great pleasure to be a part of all of this, and so thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joe Steger. I have been a resident of Canal Winchester for 27 years and worked in the city at a local business, Heiberger Paving, for 35 years. I've got 3 daughters and 8 grandchildren. All 3 daughters graduated from Canal Winchester schools, and one of my daughters over here to my right, Lindsay, was Miss Canal Winchester at the pageant back in 2004, so it's been a while. My involvement in the city has mostly been in the private sector. I'm a member of Madison Christian Church, done 3 mission trips with them out of Groveport, and mission trips in Honduras, and I'm a part of their music program out there since 1991, I believe. So been out there for a while. At Heiberger Paving, we have contributed to the city through a lot of tax dollars. I've been a vice president executive there since, for the last 25 years. And during the last 30 years of my management there, we have grown from a $3 million company to a $20 million company. The divisions that I have built there are averaging $5 million annually. So over the course of my 3 decades there, my sales contribution has added over $100 million to that company. So I think I'm uniquely positioned to help with development in the city, and that's one of my goals. That's one of my expertise, and I will work hard to bring good development to the city, and we can talk about that a little later in the development phase. Having said that, I thank you for your time.
This is a 2-part question, so we'll be allowing for 3 minutes per candidate. Starting with Mike Walker, then moving on to Joe Steger, and then Mike Ebert. Please share your plans for the next 4 years and include your position on community building events and your role to lead them.
All right. Well, since I've missed the first thing, I am Mike Walker, and I have 4 beautiful children, 13 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. So I want to make sure I get that in there. We're very proud of all of them, and all raised here in Canal Winchester. I perceive that the various organizations in Canal Winchester, such as the Labor Day Committee, Historical Society, the Chamber of Commerce, Destination Canal Winchester, the city and the city council, schools and human services could work more cohesively than they do together right today. With that being said, this will create a powerhouse for the city if this happens. I would like to always explain I'm a storyteller, so I'm going to use an apple pie, a perfect apple pie, for instance. If we have the nutmeg sitting up on the shelf by itself, and we have cinnamon by itself. And we have the crust and the apples sitting on the shelf by itself. All of them together don't taste that great. The nutmeg would be probably just a little bitter. But if we bring these ingredients together, all together, to make the perfect apple pie, that is what we're after right here in Canal Winchester, to make a perfect Canal Winchester. We may never be perfect, but we are going to get there. So let's work together with all of us, the pillars, the many pillars that I see in the community as I look out here and see them everywhere that have volunteered. One that couldn't be here tonight that I wanted to point out, but there's so many pillars of the community over the years and ones that haven't been recognized. But with that, this is my plan, is to bring them all together to make a powerhouse for the city of Canal Winchester.
Okay, so my vision for the city is three-part. I believe that the citizens are really looking for more security. This has been shown in the city planning survey that came out last December. We have 5,000 people coming into the North Gender Road area in the city of Columbus. That's half again the size of our city. Right now, studies have shown that we are per capita under-policed. We're below surrounding police departments quite a bit in cities. So I would like to at least look at what's going on above Route 33 to try to increase protection up there through the city of Columbus. Partner better with Madison Township, or try to partner more to get more police coverage, and to work with the Sheriff's Department to look at increasing our police there. I think this is something the citizens want and that we definitely need. The next thing I would like to look at is our development. The survey that I was talking about showed that that's the second most important thing to the citizens of Canal. So we have to keep looking for good projects for the city. I know the council people talked about that a lot. I'm uniquely positioned to help our director, Lucas Hare, with that, and not only to look at businesses that want to come here, but also to scrutinize them and look for businesses we want. There's a lot of talk about Intel. There's a lot of satellite businesses that are coming off of that, as Alec told you guys. Those businesses are coming to Ohio. We're very close to Intel. Why can't we get some of those? At least one of them would be great. A high-tech manufacturing business over at Canal Point. Very good paying jobs, also good tax revenue for the city. We also need to look at helping small businesses to fill up some of the space in the Woods and Weiser building that's empty right now downtown, help the other businesses down there. So small business is important too, as Will was talking about. The last thing I'm looking at doing in my time, if I am elected, is to bring more cohesiveness between the city government and the citizens. We heard about some of the divides that have come from a few instances in the last few years, and I'd like to work to improve that. Those are my three platform agendas. Thank you.
Okay, just hang on to that mic, Joe, because you're up next. How will you personally seek out resident input on city matters, and how much of an impact will that have on your decision-making process? We'll start with Joe Steger, move to Mike Ebert, and then Mike Walker.
So,
I am so sorry. I am so sorry, Mayor Ebert. Please take 4 minutes to answer your question.
4 minutes? Can I have 10? No. Thank you. you know, next year and the following year, probably 2 years back to back, we're looking at doing a new streetscape downtown Canal, Winchester, which is mostly on High Street and Waterloo Streets. But that's going to be a big project. It's going to interrupt business downtown, but it needs to be done. We have sidewalks that are deteriorating. We have sidewalks that people can trip over, and the streets are getting pretty rough down there, and we just want to do a whole new landscape or streetscape in the downtown beginning next year. It'll probably could be a 2-year project. Just depends on weather conditions and so forth. And you know, as far as how I participate and help organize events and so on, I've been involved in a lot of different events. And I didn't even get them all mentioned in the first question, but I will continue to do that. I love doing that. You know, it's the planning part of it is, you know, what we do and what I do. So I'll continue to work with event organizers and the events that are especially downtown, which is most of them, and you know, work with the organizers of those events and make sure it goes well.
Thank you, sir. My apologies. Back to the next question. We'll do Joe Steger, Mike Ebert, Mike Walker. How will you personally seek out resident input on city matters, and how much of an impact will that have on your decision-making process?
So this is a good question, and I will answer it as such. I would work to increase communication with the residents through continued campaigning. What do I mean by that? Right now, I am talking to a lot of people, as we all are, and I want to continue doing that as when I become mayor. I heard some of the council people talk about this. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go to all the events and just keep engaging with the public and make sure that I know what people are expecting from us and what's going on. So, like I've heard Chuck Milligan say, when I'm out and about, I would be available for everybody. I also think that we need annual town halls. I know they're tough on politicians. They're tough to keep organized and keep focused. But the 3 minutes that people get at council meetings, there's no back and forth. There's no interaction between the government and the people. You just say what you have to say, and when your 3 minutes are up, kind of like here, we're done. So I think we need to have that kind of engagement, and I think digital surveys, if we can get people to participate, we have to let them know they're there. This is how you can talk to the government. This is how you can talk to us and let us know how you feel. All these are tough, but we have to engage the public, and we have to take their feedback, and we have to give feedback. And this is how I'd address it. I would definitely look at what the concerns are and analyze that between the legal issues of the problems or issues people have, along with how what they want affects other people in the community before making a decision. Thank you.
Okay, you know, ever since I've been mayor, I've always had an open door policy, and anybody can come in any time of day, and you know, we'll sit down and chit chat or whatever you want to do. If you have something on your mind, you know, I'd like to hear it. I have people come in. There's no line coming in, but I do have people come in from time to time and express some concerns, or maybe it's praise. For employees that are out there working the streets and picking up leaves and doing all the great things they do. But, you know, last year, about a year ago, we started, my staff, under my direction, my staff started what we call council highlights. And we do highlights of every council meeting. She takes minutes, takes notes, and then transfers those into what was actually discussed on the meeting night. And basically they are just highlights. But we publish those the next morning and get them out by the afternoon, so you know what the discussion was or what the topics were that were discussed in the council meeting the night before. Prior to that, council and my staff had started taking public comments, and if they did not get in time to make the agenda, then we write those up and we put them in. We can put them in the agenda, but they're not on the agenda topics because they may have hit late. But you can send in your comments, written comments. You don't have to appear in person. And so we've got a lot of different things like that going on. Additionally, we have had for a couple of years now our public address system, or not public address, but our public announcement, where if we have a road closure or
Thank you,
a
Mr.
water line-
Ebert.
Thank you.
And now we move on to Mike Walker.
Ladies and gentlemen, nowadays you have multiple ways to reach people, such as social media, newsletters, newspapers, surveys, and talking face-to-face with people, as I have done for the last 8 years on City Council. I don't know if there's anyone that's any more accessible than I am out and about meeting the public. As far as what public input means to me, it weighs heavily. In addition, I also visit our local merchants, our restaurants regularly, and encourage feedback from the owners and the customers. I'm approachable, I'm open. My phone number, it's accessible. You can, my email, stop in with questions or any concerns. I am everywhere all the time, and I'm retired after a long career at Columbia Gas, and I'm ready for this.
We received 2 questions about the city's finances, and I'm going to answer one directly because I just think that the information isn't out there. There was a question submitted that asked, would you be in support of an audit of the city's finances? And what I've learned is that already happens every year. The Ohio Auditor of State's office audits us or hires a firm to do so. Now, it doesn't happen on February 1st of every year. Their schedule's a little bit, flexible, but every year, the books are audited by the state of Ohio. So I just wanted to get that out there. They have to support that. The next question is, if the city were to face a drastic revenue challenge, such as another pandemic or the loss of our largest employers, what actions would you take to preserve the financial resiliency of the city? And let's start with Mike Ebert.
First of all, the answer you just gave on the audit, we are not audited every year. We're audited every other year for the previous 2 years. So we have auditors come in once every other year, and they audit the previous 2 years. And I understand that they're going to every year starting next year, I believe. That's what we've been told. And, as far as that goes, I fully do support an audit. Now, what was the question again? Which one are we on?
We're on question 5 about a drastic revenue challenge. How would you?
Okay. It's funny because when I became mayor in 2008, this kind of happened then. That's when the entire country went into recession, and that was my first year as mayor. And right away, we cut any staff pay increases. We did a hiring freeze. We started cutting back on what we were spending right away for the things we didn't need, or not that we didn't need it, but the non-essential items. We even cut back on vehicle and equipment purchases, and we fared very well through that recession for the next 2 years. And the entire staff understood why they were not getting a raise, and they understood why we were not hiring additional people. And actually, many of them came into my office from time to time and said thanks. And that's like, what for? He said, because we all still have a job. And that was true. We did not let anybody off. We didn't hire any additional people, but we weathered through that quite well. You know, our water and sewer departments are very sound financially. Some people say, well, why didn't you borrow money from them? And, well, legally, we're not allowed to do that because that money is coming from utility bills, and that's what runs our water and street department, or water and sewer department. So we can't borrow money from it. That money has to stay there and used for utilities only. So that's about it.
Mr. Walker?
The answer is yes. I would be in support of a financial audit at any time. Absolutely. Who wouldn't? Maybe you're not aware of this, but council and the administration have gone the extra mile to create economic diversity so that we are not dependent on a specific business or industry. And I will continue that strategy if I'm elected. Also, during my 8 years on city council, approximately 75 businesses have opened and 2,500 jobs have been created, which provides sound financial footing for the city to provide all the services and amenities that we know and love without asking for additional taxes from the residents. I will be a full-time mayor.
Mr. Steger?
Okay, on the financial audit, yes, absolutely. It's law, it's prudent, and it's something that has to be done. I'm fully in favor of any of the audits that the state feels to put on us. The financial challenges, Mayor Ebert talked about the Great Recession. That was a very hard time for business and cities. Businesses suffer, cities suffer at the same time. How would I handle that situation? Well, you have to look at what we have in our rainy day fund, and which would be like we have in our savings accounts at home or in the bank in a business. We compare that to the loss of revenue, and then we make cuts from there. We try to preserve our savings as much as we can with cuts to survive the period. We don't know how long a downturn in the economy is going to be. We don't know how long a pandemic is going to last. And we don't know when a strike hits, like we have a strike with the UAW right now, and cities are being hurt by that, obviously, that have factories in their cities. We don't know how long that's going to go down. So like Mayor Ebert said, we have to cut costs, and we have to preserve our backup funds. That's the process we would take, like any business or household would take. Thank you.
Okay, Julie, can you set the clock to 3 minutes, please? Thank you. Similar to City Council, we received a lot of questions about planning for the further growth of our city. So we have a two-part question, and it is, please describe your plan to attract new businesses and residences, capitalizing on the fast growth in the Central Ohio area. And how will you ensure Canal Winchester maintains its small town feel over the next decade? We'd like to start with Mike Walker.
We are in the process of finalizing a comprehensive community plan. This plan was a long time coming, and it included a lot of public input, and it is expensive to produce. I will put teeth, if elected mayor, into this plan as mayor. I will ensure that every development decision hinges off of this plan. Or if it deviates, formally will explain why not. The comprehensive plan this community plan does include keeping a small town feel.
Mr. Joe Steger.
So I will start with the small town feel element. I think it's important to preserve the downtown. You've heard a lot of that tonight in the first session, and now we're hearing it again tonight. It's on a lot of our pamphlets. Why? Because we all know that's important to this community. It's important to us. That's why we're here. That's why a lot of people live here. How do we do that? The heart of the city is our downtown. Our development, a lot of it happens on the outskirts of downtown. What I see for the city is to continue to grow the downtown, to help get more unique small businesses down there that are fun, attractive for people to come in, to get tourists to our downtown. The city of Powell has a lot of things like that, and I think we're right on the cusp of doing a lot of, bringing in a lot of great things. How do we do that? Maybe we fill up some of the new empty buildings by helping with rent, like the city of Groveport does. I know a lot of cities do that to try to encourage growth. We help with the build-outs, as Will was saying earlier in the first session, to not just help the developers build these buildings, but also help the businesses build them out, because they're responsible to do the infrastructure on the inside. So that's the first part of my question. Of the question is to keep the small town feel, and also to keep supporting Destination Canal Winchester. They do a very good job of bringing people in. When you go downtown on the weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays in the summertime, there's always stuff going on. The Blues Festival's great. So we continue to support that group in their efforts to get people together. That helps with our small town, along with helping the businesses. To attract business, again, I want to go back to my background. I would like to work closely with our development team and Lucas Hare to look for businesses that will give us good paying jobs for our citizens, and also good revenue for the city. Intel is the buzz. That would be trying to land some business from these big projects that are going on. We did that once before, about 35 years ago, with TS Trim. We got a business off of Honda. So we've done it before. That's a great business for the community, and I would like to see more manufacturing, more help for the real small shops, and some real grassroots efforts for small entrepreneurs in the community. Thank you.
Mr. Mike Ebert.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I believe the downtown Canal Winchester is always going to have its small town feel, because we're going to we maintain what it is today. And I just mentioned the new streetscape we're going to start working on next year. It's still going to have that small town feel, and we're not going to change that. As far as other business goes, large business, I heard Intel, half a dozen times tonight maybe, and but Canal Winchester area, we're not set with land that would support an Intel. It was mentioned earlier that they've got 1,000 acres in which they bought and building their properties or building their buildings on, and we don't have that type of land here. no matter what way we go, we're looking at gas lines that are buried underground, or we're looking at floodplains, or even worse, floodways. So we can support the smaller businesses that maybe a third that size is Intel, but as far as the big structures go, we can't go much more than what we currently have, especially you get up to 1 million square feet, which is what their building is, and those types of things. So, and when we do those types of buildings or smaller buildings, they're going to be on the edge of town somewhere. Right now, we would probably have to annex some land to get that done. But yeah, we're constantly looking for new business to move into Canal Winchester, and the right type, the correct type of business that doesn't interrupt traffic very much. It doesn't interrupt our downtown, and we're constantly on the look for those types of things. And Intel, by the way, as you said earlier, someone said earlier, is going to present a lot of suppliers outside of Intel, and we are in contact with a few of those suppliers already. Thank you.
We have our last question for the evening. We're going to start with Joe Steger. Should there be a transition in mayor in 2024, how will you ensure a smooth transition?
The city of Canal Winchester now has a city administrator, and thanks to Mayor Ebert, he has set the stage for a smooth transition with the people he has in government. Matt Peoples is very competent. He knows the city, he knows the utilities, he knows all the areas of the city, and I don't think it would be a big problem to lean on all the directors and make a smooth transition into another administration, whoever that would be. Thank you.
Mike Ebert.
Yeah, if either one of my right or left would become mayor in 2024, I would make sure before that date rolled around, sometime in November or December, is to bring them in, and I would introduce them to all the employees in the office to begin with. And whenever we hire a new employee, and it doesn't make any difference if they're office employee or where they work at, we always take a full day and take them around the city to introduce them to every department, every employee, and so they get a better feel or a good feel of what we really do and where we do it at and who the people are that do it. So I would want to do that same type scenario with a new mayor when they come in, and because I love this town. I've been doing this for 16 years, and I would hate to see anything drastic happen to it because I didn't help the new mayor out. Thank you.
Mike Walker.
Because of my 8 years on city council and experience working with high quality city employees and a great city council as well, I am confident that we will have a smooth transition. We recently implemented something that has been in the city charter for years, and that is the position of the city administrator. I believe that was in 2010. That is your continuity during the periods of transition. In addition, I will be a full-time mayor.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. How about one last round of applause for the candidates here this evening? And I'll bet you gentlemen didn't know this, but there are 80 people watching live right now, so smile at the camera and give a little wave over there. We'd like to thank Brewdog, who donated this space for this event tonight. I think it's one of the best places in town to hold this type of event, so we should thank Brewdog on our way out the door. We do have the room until 8:30, so if you have questions you want to ask individual candidates, please seek them out and know more about them. One more thanks to our sponsors, the Canal Wigwam, Code 6 Bravo Coffee Truck, and Edward Jones, Denise Mathias. Remember to vote on Tuesday, November 7th. Have a wonderful night and a safe drive home.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Councilman Walker. Appreciate it. Don't fall off the platform.